Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
Motives are much less important than behavior. We all know this. If someone has good intentions but treats people badly, those good intentions mean nothing. As it is with individuals, so it is with governments. Capitalism might sound less noble than communism. The individual pursues success to the best of his abilities. That's capitalism. Versus everyone shares everything equally. That's communism.
Literally neither one of those things are what capitalism or communism are. That's literally what neither of those things are. Capitalism isn't the individual pursues success to the best of his abilities. Capitalism is the means of production are privately owned. That's it. How did the person who got the means of who owns the means of production get it? Fuck you, don't ask. Doesn't matter if they stole it. Doesn't matter if they inherited it. They own it. And they ought to own it. No matter what the outcomes are, they should keep owning it because they own it. And it would be wrong to do anything but keep the status quo. That's capitalism, all right? Private ownership of the means of production. It means nothing else. It doesn't mean markets. It doesn't mean trade. It doesn't mean innovation. It doesn't mean that you can pursue your own desires. That's not what capitalism means at all. Capitalism means private ownership of the means of production in the commodity form. We're not going to get too much into that because I don't want to do a theory for the baby brains. But the point is, it has nothing to do about the individual. In fact, most individuals do not get to pursue success. If you're born addicted to crack, under capitalism, no one fucking cares. Other than people arbitrarily deciding individually that they will give you as much aid as they decide they want to give. How does that create a situation where an individual can pursue their desires or success? Communism also doesn't mean everyone shares everything equally. That's not what it fucking means. If you're going to argue about communism, at least use a quote. From each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs. Not everybody gets everything equally. And furthermore, no communist theoretician argues for perfect equality. That's not what communism is. Communism is a moneyless, classless, stateless society. That's what communism is. Communism is a theoretical point of development for the human species where we will no longer be constrained by money, and we will be no longer constrained by government, and will be no longer constrained by class. You won't have a class of people that exploit another class of people. That's the bourgeoisie, the owners of capital, who make money parasitically off of the working class, the proletariat. So neither one of these descriptions are even close to accurate, and they're mind-numbingly stupid. And capitalism is not a government form. Communism is not a government form in the most specific sense. Communism describes a theoretical future.
But it is capitalism that has produced freedom, and it alone has lifted millions from poverty, while communism has kept millions impoverished and, without exception, crushed freedom.
Okay, so these are dog shit stupidities.
Without exception, crushed freedom.
Communism, if you're talking about the USSR, let's do our best here. If you're talking about the USSR, they lifted millions out of poverty. That's a fact. If you're talking about communist China, that is all of the development in the past 50 years as far as ending severe poverty has happened in China. That's where all this capitalism is lifting people out of poverty. Communist China? So at the beginning of the 20th century, it was the Soviet Union that was lifting millions of people out of poverty. And if you're talking about the second half of the last 50 years, it was China that was lifting people out of poverty. So you're just wrong about that. And as far as capitalism goes, I know this is so here's the thing about this rhetoric. It's just trash. It's just garbage. America has one of the highest poverty rates in the developed world.
Capitalism, for all its imperfections, enables a decent society. Communism, whatever its stated intentions, leads to evil.
So here's the thing about this. Like, when you engage with conservatives, this is so far from being actually a discussion of anything in reality. Did you see what we watched earlier with the Gravel Institute, the Gravel Institute? When we talked about the housing, the social housing program, Red Vienna, the Social Democrats building stuff in an actual city in an actual point in time. They built 60,000 apartments in the first year. They have Austria, Vienna is now the #1 most livable city with the highest quality public and social housing with low rent. #1 rated most livable city, best city in the fucking world with the lowest rent. Amazing. That's what socialism can do. That's what having an actual government that knows what the fuck they're doing can do, So the Gravel Institute talked about how socialism and leftism can solve the housing crisis with concrete policies, and then talked about those policies and where they actually exist right now. This has a giant evil in the middle of the screen. It's just babble. There's nothing to debate. What is there to debate? What is there to fucking debate here? It's just rhetoric. It's just nonsense.
Yet increasingly, people either ignore or deny the evil of this ideology, which within a period of only 60 years created modern totalitarianism and deprived more people of human rights and tortured and killed more people than any ideology in history.
Just outright lies. Every single one of these is just bullshit. More people have died due to capitalism in the last 60 years than did under communism. And if you want to look at it, like most of the things that people say, that the big death tolls, the Soviet Union, he's just making shit up. You have the Holodomor, which was a political famine in Ukraine that killed millions of people that everyone acknowledges. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but basically you can talk about Stalin in particular wanted to liquidate a specific group of people that were seen as resisting collectivization of farms, and he murdered those people. And they didn't bring in enough food aid. And that was a horrible crime committed by Stalin in the Soviet Union in the 30s. Terrible. But you know who else was starving people at the exact same time for very similar reasons? Winston Churchill in India in the Bengal famine. The British starved millions of Irish in the Irish potato famine. It wasn't the British potato famine because there was plenty of food right across the Irish Sea. The British intentionally starved the Irish. That was another example. And then people will say, like, well, what about people starving to death in China? Famine stopped due to the Communist Party of China. China consistently had famines over and over and over and again. And let me tell you, the famine under the Chinese Communist Party was bad. It was a bad one, but it was the last one. Look at these famines in China. Famines constantly. 9 to 13 million died in the 1976 to 1979 Great North China famine. 25 million in the Great Jing famine. And the 1959 Great Chinese famine is between 2.55 and 55 million. So there's a wide range of estimates. And it was a terrible famine, but it was the last one. 5 million died in the 1936 famine. I mean, you could just look at the famines before Chinese Communist Party came in. 10 to 30 million people died in this war and drought. So it wasn't until the Chinese Communist Party came in and developed China, including making horrible mistakes, there was a famine that killed people. But this was par for the course in the history of China. It's interesting that all these famines are just ignored for capitalism, right? We can ignore all these famines because, you know, oh, that wasn't capitalism. We'll just turn it. That was something else. That was nature. That is, so you see how this is just trash, just garbage.
I keep my trust fund in Amalgamated.
In the first 28 years of the Chinese Communist Party rule, the average life expectancy went up by 31 years.
How can we explain this? There are two ways. One is ignorance. People just don't know the truth about communism. The second is willful blindness. People know the truth, but choose to ignore it because the truth about communism's horrors is too painful to confront.
All right, so this is 100% projection. People know the truth about capitalism, but don't confront it. How many people starve to death every year? 9 million people die of hunger and hunger-related diseases every year. Is that capitalism? Or is this also communism's fault somehow? It's more now.
That's Braxton.
UN warns number of starving people could double amid pandemic. UN's humanitarian chief has warned that without global cooperation and financial assistance, the number of people dying from hunger or hunger-related diseases could double this year due to the economic fallout of the coronavirus pandemic. The effect of that is going to be, for the first time in probably 30 years, a big number increase in the number of people in extreme poverty, people living on less than $2 a day. As part of that, we expect, unfortunately, that there could be a doubling this year in the number of people who are literally starving to death and won't survive unless they get help. Every year, around 9 million people die of hunger, according to the international relief agency Mercy Corps. That's more than the death toll of AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. Is that capitalism? Because I don't know of any communism. At least this is not happening in communist countries. But I guess they're brown, so they don't count.
Given the sad state of our educational system, we can assume most people fall into the first category. They just don't know. So let me offer some facts. But before I do, I need to address another question. Why is it important that everyone know what communism did? Here are 3 reasons. First, we have a moral obligation to the victims of communism not to forget them. Just as Americans have a moral obligation to remember the victims of slavery, we have the same obligation.
But don't teach our children any of that. That's critical race theory, okay? Whoa, PragerU pushing critical race theory.
Obligation to the victims of communism not to forget them. Just as Americans have a moral obligation to remember the victims of slavery, we have the same obligation to the...
So no more defund PragerU. They're pushing that critical race theory. They're pushing that critical race theory.
Billion victims of communism, especially the 100 million who were murdered. Second, the best way to prevent an evil from reoccurring is to confront it in all its horror. The fact that many people today, especially young people, mention communism as a viable option for modern society proves they don't know communism's moral record.
Okay. I don't know what to say to this shit. Because it's so baby brain stupid shit. There's no info, Real Zach. These are animations. There's no infographics. There's no info. They're not infographics. They're just animations. Literally what we teach children about slavery. The Atlantic slave trade between the 1500s and 1800s brought millions of workers from Africa to the United States to work on agricultural plantations. What the fuck? They were not workers. They were slaves. They were slaves. They were not workers. They were slaves. What are they talking about? This map, by the way, chat, is a ethnic breakdown. I can recognize it already. The yellow almost certainly says is American. People that identify as American are the majority in the yellow. Blue is German background. This, I'll show you. Largest ethnicities by county, USA. Here, show you. All right. So Pennsylvania, they got a lot of Germans. And then Philadelphia's got like Irish as the biggest, right? There's a county here that's Polish. Blue is African American. English or Irish is in the hills. Those are Appalachians. They would call themselves American. They would just call themselves American. But English or Irish, right? And then there's more German in Florida. Cuban down there in Miami. And then Mexican. So in case you're wondering who won World War I and World War II, America's a German nation. Now it's starting to make sense about all that fascism, huh? Where's the Italians? They're in Jersey. That's the white. Ironically, Italians are white on this map. What graphic designer approved that? What graphic designer approved Italians as white? What? As we all know, Nancy Pelosi is a person of color. Purple being English. Light blue up here being French. You have French up here in Maine and the northern part of New England, and you've got some people who identify as French down here in Louisiana, which is really, really cool. New Orleans and Louisiana's history is really cool. It's a shame it's being laundered into standard American Deep South culture. It's a shame. Local native and the tribes are out here in Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. This is Cherokee right here in Oklahoma. What other ethnicities do we got? We got Japanese in Hawaii. That's really interesting. I guess they call it local native instead of Hawaiian. That is fucked up. Why don't they just make another one that says Hawaii? And then Inuit or just First Nations. They have Norwegian. Oh my God, it's Norwegian in the Aleutians? Wow, that's interesting. Is that what it is? Am I misreading the key? Oh, you're right. I think it is Filipino because Norwegian is up here. In Minnesota. In North Dakota. Minnesota. North Dakota. We're all Norwegian. That's where the Norwegians are. So you're right, it is Filipino. That's really interesting. I did not know that. See, you learn so much when you just look at these maps. I think Hawaii is the most non-white state, right? Yeah, Hawaii County was the most racially diverse county in the state. List of states by non-white population. Population percentage 2010. Non-Hispanic white. Okay, well that's not what I want because these are Puerto Rico is a bunch of Hispanic whites. I think the non-Hispanic white thing is stupid. Just tell me white. My name is I am Latino, but you've got blue eyes and blonde hair and you're white. Yeah, but I'm Hispanic white. So, yeah. So Guam is only 6.9% non-Hispanic white. And Hawaii is only 22% non-Hispanic white, which makes sense. Hey, Chad, if you ever wanted to know why isn't DC a state? Why isn't DC a state? Huh. I wonder why DC isn't a state. It's only 34.8% non-Hispanic white. There you go. Puerto Rico is only 0.7% non-Hispanic white, which explains why it's also not a state. What, Mike? Why are these territories not states? Why isn't American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, why are they not states? Sounds about white. Can't put my finger on it.
Therefore, they do not properly fear communism, which means this evil could happen again. And why could it happen again? That brings us to reason number 3. The
Critical
leaders
race
of
theory.
communist regimes and the vast number of people who helped those leaders torture, enslave, and murder were nearly all normal people. Of course, some were psychopaths, but most were not, which means that any society, including free ones, can devolve into communism or some analogous evil. Now some facts, based on the authoritative Black Book
I knew it! I fucking knew it! This book is a completely discredited garbage book. If you actually go through it, most of the big claims of deaths are just trash. Or they literally call the Nazis that died in combat in World War II on the Eastern Front as victims of communism. I am not making this up. They count the Nazi war dead as part of the victims of communism. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Hold on. Oh my God. If you ever want to debunk this dumb fucking book.
of Communism, written by 6 French scholars and published in the United States by Harvard University.
Of course, chat. It's so funny how conservatives, whenever they can get a chance to try to use like the Ivy League or the elites as like, oh, look, this is legitimate. Whenever it agrees with me, it's legitimate.
Press. Here are the numbers of people murdered by communist regimes, not soldiers, ordinary civilians. Vietnam, 1 million. Eastern Europe, 1 million. Ethiopia, 1.5 million. North Korea, 2 million. Cambodia, 2 million. The Soviet Union, 20 million. China, 65 million.
So we just talked about this with the famines, right? Let's look at the China number. So they used the biggest number for the famine that we talked about that happened 59 to 61. They say it's 55 million. And then they just use whatever maximum number they can. Soviet Union. Oh my God. Vietnam?
Ordinary civilians. Vietnam, 1 million.
Oh my God. The victims of communism in Vietnam, 1 million. Huh. How many did America kill in Vietnam? Deaths in the Vietnam War from 1954 to 75. Subtotal Vietnam, 3.2 million. Between 1.156 million and 3.2 million is the estimate of deaths.
1 million. Eastern Europe, 1 million. Ethiopia, 1.5 million. North Korea, 2 million. Cambodia, 2 million. The Soviet...
By the way, who stopped Cambodia? Who stopped the Khmer Rouge, chat? Who supported the Khmer Rouge? And who stopped the Khmer Rouge? Since we're putting this in, who supported the Khmer Rouge? Oh, the United States voted for the Khmer Rouge, and the Khmer Rouge-dominated coalition government of Democratic Kampuchea to retain Cambodia's United Nations seat until as late as 1993, long after the Khmer Rouge had been mostly deposed by Vietnam during the 1979 Vietnamese invasion of Cambodia. It also had been reported that the U.S. encouraged the government of China to provide military support for the Khmer Rouge. Oh, wait a minute. I am confused. I thought the Khmer Rouge was an evil. This is the most amazing move. This is the most amazing fucking move. The United States literally supported the genocide in Cambodia, supported the Khmer Rouge, opposed Vietnam's attempt to end that genocide. And Vietnam, after fighting their own war where they defeated the United States' imperialist ambitions in Vietnam, They went and did a humanitarian intervention in Cambodia, and the United States continued to support the Khmer Rouge until 1993, and then fucking PragerU puts it on the Victims of Communism video. Isn't that a beautiful little fucking maneuver they do?
The Soviet Union, 20 million.
These are all bullshit.
China, 65 million.
Christ, we already talked
and the
about how
numbers
this is
are
bullshit.
conservative. And of course, these numbers do not describe
Yes, the numbers are conservative. You're right about that.
the suffering endured by hundreds of millions of people who were not murdered. The systematic stripping people of their right to speak freely.
The Soviet Union came out of the czarist regime in Russia. China, the Communist Party of China came out of what was known as the warlord era, where literal warlords ruled sections of China. What are you talking about? The warlord era was a period in the history of the Republic of China when control of the country was divided among former military cliques, the Beijing Army, and other regional factions from 1916 to 1928. Oh, yeah, man, their rights. Gosh. Man, the Chinese communists really fucking oppressed them. Oh, man. Oh, man. Zhang Zhongshan, known as the dog meat general, because of his love for the gambling game of that name, was described as having the physique of an elephant, the brain of a pig, and the temperament of a tiger. Writer Lin Yutang calls Zhang the most colorful, legendary, medieval, and unashamed ruler of modern China. Former Emperor Pu remembered Zhang as a universally detested monster whose ugly, bloated face was tinged with the livid hue induced by heavy opium smoking. A brutal man, Zhang was notorious for his hobby of smashing in the heads of prisoners with his sword, which he called smashing melons. He loved to boast about the size of his penis, which became part of his legend. He was widely believed to be the most well-endowed man in China, nicknamed General 86, as his penis, when erect, was said to measure up to a pile of 86 Mexican silver dollars. His harem consisted of Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Russian, and 2 French women. He gave them numbers as he could not remember their names, and then usually forgot the numbers. So this is why communists took over China. They saved it from foreign occupation, foreign meddling, literal warlord era. That's why the communist movement succeeded. Russia was the most backward country in Europe where people were literally serfs. Like the Middle Ages, where they didn't have political rights, you fucking dipshit. It's like these scumbag liars, man. The Russian Imperial Army literally shot at people who were protesting. I mean, I want to teach you guys more because it's so fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. The longest instance of martial law of any country in the world was Taiwan for 38 years. I bet they had great freedom of speech under a military dictatorship.
To worship freely, to start a business, or even to travel without party permission. No non-communist judiciary or media. The poverty of nearly all communist countries. The imprisonment of vast numbers of people. And of course...
So, you know what the fastest growing economies in history were? Here. I'll go ahead and go to this old communist magazine. Is China the fastest rising power in history? Although new powers have emerged for millennia, think Athens after the Greek victory over Persia and Rome in 264 BC at the start of its war with Carthage, extensive data measuring the scale and speed of a nation's rise only extend from the mid-19th century to the present. During this period, 5 states have emerged as global powers: the United States, Germany, the Soviet Union, Japan, and China. Not going to give me the graph. Okay, here you go. So China and the Soviet Union were the fastest developing. That article is just boring. It's the thickness of a Mexican silver dollar is 2.3 millimeters. This makes the length of his PP 6.1 inches. Okay, not King of Spain. That was a Mexican silver dollar in 1920. not the Mexican silver dollar of today. The colony countries literally ended poverty for the most part. Compare Cuba to other Caribbean nations of its size and with its resources, it suffers a far higher quality. It offers a far higher quality of life than its equivalent neighbors, and that is despite the criminal, inhumane blockade, sanctions, embargo. This is just babble. This is just babble.
The trauma suffered by the hundreds of millions of friends and relatives.
Do you guys want to know what the fastest decline of human life expectancy? It was Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union. When neoliberals came into power in Russia, life expectancy for men fell from a high of 65 years in 1987 to a low of 57 years in 1994. You can literally see when the Soviet Union fell, life expectancy drop. You can literally see it happen. Health in Russia deteriorated rapidly following the dissolution of the Soviet Union.
And imprisoned. These numbers don't tell you about the frozen millions in the vast Soviet Siberian prison camp system known as the Gulag Archipelago.
The United States has more people in prison now than China. They have 4 times the population we do. We have 4 times the fucking prison population. And the Gulag was started under the Tsar. You know, the pre-communist system. It's funny that people talk about the Gulag because it has a foreign-sounding name. And I'm not defending the work camps. I don't think that was the right way to handle things. But you compare that, the United States has literal slavery right now, and far more people in prison, and disproportionately people of color. This is comical.
Or the Vietnamese communists' routine practice of burying peasants alive to terrorize other peasants into supporting the communists. Or Mao Zedong's regular use of hideous tortures to punish opponents and intimidate peasants. People associate evil with...
Are you fucking kidding me? America killed 3 million with terror bombings, chemical weapons, and blockades.
With darkness. But that's not accurate. It is easy to look into the dark. It is very hard to stare into bright light. One should therefore associate evil with extreme brightness, given that people rarely look at real evil. And those who do not confront real evil often make up evils, like systemic racism in 21st century America, or toxic masculinity, or patriarchy, that are much easier to confront. The Book of Psalms states, those of you who love God must hate evil. If you don't believe in God, here's another way of putting it. Those of you who love people must hate evil. If you don't hate communism,
holy shit,
you don't care about, much less love, people. I'm Dennis Prager. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
Holy shit, dude. That was dumber than I thought. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy. The morning politics guy. Politics Frogs in every single day. Same time, 10 a.m. Day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.